Okay guys, in this video you're going to learn how to make your own chalk paint, which will save you so much money, and how to use that paint to actually paint a dresser in an ombre design. So stick around, let me show you how it's done. Hey guys, Ayana Peterson, the Thrifting Diva, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, on this channel we talk about having a thrifty lifestyle that will span across fashion, home decor, DIY, everything it is that allows you to be fabulous without spending a lot of money. And today we are talking DIY. I am going to be painting a dresser for my sister who's pregnant, and this dresser will be going into the baby's nursery. My niece, of course, my dresser was not a lot of money. I picked it up at Goodwill for only $7.50. Yes, I did not stutter on that. Solid wood, I love it. I knew immediately once I saw it that I was going to be able to bring this piece back to life. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, if you've ever done any type of painting furniture with chalk paint, you know that chalk paint can be rather expensive, and I'm not knocking the expensive ones because they are incredible, but sometimes your budget doesn't call for expensive. So today I am going to show you how to make your own chalk paint. It is so simple, guys, that anyone can do this. You just need a few materials, which I'm going to go over with you step by step, and then we're going to paint that dresser. Now, the unique part of this dresser, I am going to be doing it in an ombre style. So it's going to go in different gradients, shades for the colors.
Let's jump into the materials you're going to need. In the description box below, I'll leave a list with links to all the materials. First, you will need latex paint of any color you want. For my project, I am using two colors, pink and white. I'm using the Bare Premium Plus Ultra in a matte finish. I'm only going to need the sample size for both colors. I got these from Home Depot and they were only $3.27 each. Now, don't be worried that they're too small for my project. Chalk paint in general goes a very long way with just a little. For this project, I am going to be making my chalk paint with plaster of Paris. This is a very large tub, but you will not need a lot. I picked this up from Michael's craft store for under $4 after using my 40% coupon. You will need a clear jar with a cover. I get these from dollar store. Make sure that the opening is wide enough for your paintbrush. Of course, you'll need a paintbrush. I got mine from Home Depot. I spent about $11 on this paintbrush, but these brushes will last for many projects as long as you clean them very well after each project. Next, you will need some measuring cups. These I got from the dollar store. You will also need a fork and a mixing stick for mixing. Lastly, you'll need a little bit of water. The chalk paint recipe is super simple and easy. As long as you remember the ratio is 1 part plaster of Paris to 3 parts latex paint. You will have no issues. For this dresser, I measured out 1/3 cup of plaster of Paris and placed it into the clear jar. Then I added a few teaspoons of water. Mix the water and the plaster of Paris together until you get a paste. You may need to add some more drops of water as you want a thick sour cream consistency. Make sure you mix well so that there are no lumps. I then added 1 cup of my white paint and mixed everything together nicely. If you need to make a larger amount, simply remember the 1 part plaster of Paris to 3 parts paint. Once the mixture is well mixed, you are ready to paint with your DIY chalk paint. The best part of using chalk paint is that there is really no need for major prepping like sanding. I did not sand this piece at all before painting. What you will need to do, however, is clean the piece thoroughly. Trust me, if you skip this step, you will regret it, because once dust gets into the piece while chalk painting, it is a headache to remove. So, remove the drawers, dust and clean down the piece nicely before starting any painting. Once you've completed the cleaning, you can start painting the piece. For my ombre dresser, I wanted the shell of the dresser to be in white and the drawers to be in the ombre pattern. So I started painting the shell with my DIY white chalk paint. When painting the first coat, do not worry if you see the brush strokes. Another reason that chalk paint is a favorite of mine is that it dries super quickly. By the time you've completed the first coat, the paint will be dry and you are ready for your second coat. This is the first coat, but you can still see the original dresser color underneath, so I absolutely will have to do another coat. As you add the second coat, you will work into the areas that you may have missed or where you still see the original dresser color. As the second coat goes on, the coverage is starting to look amazing and fantastic. The coverage is that milky white and I absolutely love this.
So day 2, and I have completed the first part of the dresser in all white, and that's pretty much the base. And now I'm going to work on the drawers, and that's the part that I'm going to do the ombre effect. And for those who don't know, the ombre effect is basically where you go from lighter to darker, and I'm going to be doing the same procedure that I did with making the white chalk paint and just doing the same thing for the pink chalk paint, except I'm going to be using smaller amounts just because it's just a drawer and I don't need as much. Let's jump in to the ombre effect.
To make the pink chalk paint, we will repeat the same procedure we did to make the white chalk paint. Remember, it's 1 part plaster of Paris to 3 parts latex paint. In this case, I don't need a lot of paint because I'm only painting 1 drawer for each color. So I will lessen the quantities for the plaster of Paris and the latex paint, but keeping the ratio the same. To make the ombre effect, I started with the darkest color pink first, so it would be easier to simply keep adding white to the other drawers. The darkest pink is the original pink that I got. No whites are added in this step. For each new drawer after this, I will then add more and more white to dilute the pink. Before you start painting your drawers, however, you want to first make sure you remove all the hardware. You simply need to remove the screws from the back by using a Phillips head or flathead screwdriver, depending on the type of screw. Place the accessories and the screws in a safe place in the event that you want to reattach the same hardware later. Also, do not forget to clean down the drawers and remove any dust particles. Now you're ready to paint the first coat. Paint and complete each drawer before moving on and mixing another set of color for the next drawers. Once you're ready to move on to the next drawer, you're going to need to start adding white to whichever color you're using. In my case, pink. I already had white chalk paint waiting for me as it was left over from the shell. In making this mix, if you remember to keep the ratio of 1 part plaster of Paris and 3 parts paint, you will have no issues. Simply add the white as part of the parts of paint. Remember, this has to get lighter and lighter depending on how many drawers you have. So start out by adding very little white paint to give you space to add more white. Continue to repeat the process for each drawer. Painting a piece of furniture is a time-consuming process, so you do not want to ruin all that hard work and have to redo it because you didn't protect it. Aside from protection, a top coat will further enhance the color of your chalky painted furniture. There are various ways to protect your piece, and I often use either wax or polyurethane. If your painted furniture will come into contact with water, food, and grubby little hands on a daily basis, a poly top coat will give your piece the best protection. Multiple coats will give you even better protection so your painted piece will look great for years. I picked up this Varathane polyurethane quart from Home Depot, and that cost me around $15. You have various finishes depending on how glossy or not glossy you may want your piece to look. I went with satin as I wanted a subtle shine to the piece. As you can see, it has a slight milky look to it, but do not worry, it will dry absolutely clear and will not change the color of your piece whatsoever. You simply need a brush for applying the top coat onto the piece. Each coat dries very quickly, so you do not have to wait very long to complete the different coats. I applied 3 coats to give this piece the ultimate protection. I also applied the polyurethane to the dresser shelf and each drawer. Now, you saw the original hardware on the dresser. I absolutely was not feeling it, but did not want to spend a lot of money replacing all the hardware. So I figured I will spray paint the pieces. I first apply rust-oleum clean metal primer to each of the hardware. I use this spray grip. You can find these in the aisle with the spray paints, and they cost about $6 or $7. They are absolutely worth every penny. Before painting, however, make sure to clean the hardware in a bucket with some soapy water. Once they are dry, you're ready to prime. A little tip for you when spray painting hardware is to stick a toothpick into the grooves to allow the handle to stand up, which will allow you to spray paint all over and not miss any spot. Now you're ready to spray paint the primer onto the hardware. Once the primer is on, you can then paint your hardware. I used the rust-oleum chalk paint for my paint in the color linen white. I applied 2 coats of the spray paint. Once the hardware was completely dry, I then brushed on polyurethane onto each piece for even more protection. I applied 2 coats onto each piece. Then it was time to reassemble the hardware, and now here is the grand reveal of the ombre dresser for my niece's nursery.
Hope this was a great DIY for you, and one that was easy enough for you to follow along and absolutely be able to duplicate for your own self. If you liked what you saw, I want to know in the comments. Please let me know, is this something that you will do for yourself? Is an ombre style dresser in the future for any of you guys? Or have you used chalk paint or made your chalk paint? What advice would you give to others who would like to make their own chalk paint? Please let me know in the comments below. I definitely love engaging with you guys in the comments even after the video is off. So if you really liked what you saw, please go ahead, subscribe below. Bye!